Wonderful. Welcome to the Rotary Earth Network. And today we want to welcome Tumpa Mostafa to our meeting. I know we've been looking forward to seeing her. Tumpa is a writer and environmental advocate with deep interest in environmental stewardship, justice, and ethics. She holds a master's degree in philosophy and works at the International Institute for Sustainable Development, while also being actively involved in SRAG. And so please let's welcome Tumpa.
Hello, everyone. So I would like to share my screen. Please let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes.
Perfect. Great. So welcome, everyone. I'm so happy to be here with the Art Talks Foundation and the Rotary community. We're meeting today in 2026, a year where the term climate change feels quite small considering what we are witnessing right now. We're in the era of mega issues instead of just small climate crisis. So globally, what we have seen is temperature constantly pushing past the Paris Agreement limit, which is 1.5 degrees Celsius threshold. But we don't need sensors to tell us that we see it in our shifting seasons and our strained ecosystems. We experience it, we live in it. So that's the global scenario. Just a quick glimpse of the global scenario. It's not the whole scenario, of course. So in Canada, the scenario is even more intense. Now, I'm based in Ottawa, Canada, so I would be focusing, of course, on the Canadian perspective, Canadian policies and all that. So in Canada, we are warming at double the global rate. So our wildlife are no longer events, they are a season now. Our water security is not a future concern. It's a present reality for communities across the prairies and the north, and not to mention about the growing flood risk and the unstable watersheds. So these climate crises that I'm mentioning, these are not isolated crises. These are interconnected. These are affecting health, these are affecting culture, biodiversity, everything at once. So when we face problems of this magnitude, our first instinct is to look for the most powerful tools out there. And right now, AI is the most powerful tool right now. And before we hand the keys of our planet over to AI, over to the algorithm, we really need to ask a few questions to ourselves. For example, what is the soul of this machine? What is the soul of this algorithm? What are the ethics driving it? So with that, I'll move to my next slide is AI in the Canadian landscape. So in Canada, we are currently seeing Canada is the global leader in AI currently, right? So from the labs in Montreal to the tech hubs in Toronto and Edmonton, we see AI being used to predict where wildfires are likely to ignite, map flood zones, track habitat loss, optimize power grids, and even to predict crop yields. Now, again, these tools are powerful because they can do this. They contribute to early warning and planning in ways that weren't previously possible. So there comes the next problem. Now, this is not the whole picture that AI is this all great tools. There is a paradox as well. The paradox is that we're using a high carbon tool to solve a carbon problem. While we use AI to solve the climate crisis, the AI itself is a carbon heavy industry. A single large scale AI model can consume way more electricity in just a training run, than just hundreds of Canadians' homes use in a whole year. So we can see that it's a carbon heavy industry. It's consuming carbon. We're using this high carbon tool to address the carbon problem itself. So there is the paradox. But anyway, in Canada, our current AI policy, which is the Artificial Intelligence and Data Act, it focuses heavily on economic growth and human safety. Now, don't get me wrong here. I understand, and I think everyone agrees that saving money, reducing damage, improving response time, these are also very crucial. But again, they're not the whole story. The Earth is not a stakeholder in our current AI policy. Now, that's the glaring hole in our strategy. If we only optimize for people, we risk continuing models that extract from ecosystems rather than protecting them. So with that, I'll move to my next slide, which is the core conflict. Now, this brings us to an ethical lens called anthropocentrism, ethical lens called ecocentrism. But before I move to ecocentrism, let me tell you a little bit about anthropocentrism here, because we need anthropocentrism to understand the value of ecocentric ethics. So most of our current AI right now is built on anthropocentrism. What is that? What is the anthropocentric trap? It's a human-centered worldview. It views the world as a backdrop, a warehouse of resources meant to be managed for human benefit. So when an AI is anthropocentric, it defines success from a very narrow perspective. It looks for efficiency, it looks for profit, it looks for human comfort. If you ask an AI to maximize timber production, it will give you a plan that clears a whole forest with terrifying efficiency. It won't account for the loss of the fungal networks in the soil or the displacement of the caribou, because those don't show up on a human balance sheet. Those are not for human benefit. Those are not for financial benefit and all that. So we have taught this machine to see the world exactly as we have seen in the past, as a thing to be used. And this is what we can call human filter. So we have a human filter on the AI tools that we are using. And I think from a philosophical terminology, we can say that this is an anthropocentric trap. Now let's move to the ecocentric flip here. So ecocentrism, on the other hand, which I call ethics of the earth. Ecocentrism argues that the earth, including all living and non-living parts of ecosystems, has its own value, has intrinsic value. Not just because they matter to people, not because they're we can utilize them, but rather solely because they matter in themselves. Because for example, let me give you an example. A river is valuable not because it gives us water or electricity, but because a bee is valuable not because it pollinates our almond trees, but because it is a vital thread in the web of life. So instead of asking what's good for people, centrism asks what's good for the whole system. And this whole system includes soil, water, forest, species, and atmosphere, everything in the ecosystem. So now you might ask that why such ethics matter for AI. Let me tell you one thing. AI systems, they don't have values on their own. They reflect the values we give them. So we are responsible for what values we embed in our AI system. So when we optimize for narrow human outcomes, we are actually reinforcing the same patterns of prioritizing cost and convenience over our ecological health that got us into the climate crisis in the first place. So it's like a loop. We're doing the same thing. Now, let me move to the next slide, which is the ecocentric. So what happens when we apply this ethics to AI? We get an ecocentric AI. So instead of an AI that just manages resources, we build an AI that stewards the system. If AI was originally designed, it would measure ecological integrity and biodiversity. It would consider water and soil health. It would prioritize long-term planetary stability. So ecocentric AI would measure success by biodiversity, let's say biodiversity density, soil health, and carbon sequestration. It would measure success by ecological health, ecology integrity. So for example, imagine a Canadian AI policy where every algorithm used by the government, let's say every algorithm used by the government has to pass an ecological audit. Let's say that. Well, I don't have anything that we are using like that or any bigger idea or the whole plan here. But let's say, it's just an example. Let's say it has to pass an ecological audit. Imagine an AI that alerts a corporation not when their profits are down, but when the local watershed's health has dropped by 1% because of their uses. So that's the kind of ecological algorithm I'm talking about. So that is a machine that understands it lives on a planet, not just in a cloud, So with that, I will move to my next slide, which is integration and next step. Again, now how do we get there? I don't have the full picture developed here. I'm not an expert, not a policy expert anywhere there. So I I don't have the ideas ready to implement at this point, but just some ideas that I thought might be interesting, or we can think similar or something like that. For example, we can mandate an ecological metrics. As I mentioned, ecological audit. We just have to move beyond the GDP. Our AI must report on the ecological return on investment, not just on financial return. So that could be one thing we can do. Another thing could be like we can be more transparent. Every AI company in Canada or globally should be required to disclose their energy and water footprint, because it's quite a footprint there. So that we don't see any more black box environmental cost. We know what's happening, so that it's transparent. Another thing we can do, which has been in conversation if in social medias as well, like in this AI race right now that we are in, we're running toward a cliff. We need to prioritize slow AI instead of like the race, instead of just blindly running towards it. We need to focus on technology that is deliberate, that is ethical, that is sustainable, and we need to choose it over the fast AI concept we have right now that just focuses on profits and human benefits. So another thing I would like to mention here is that centrism is not a new idea. It's an ancient idea. Centrism resonates with many indigenous worldviews in Canada and worldwide. It's a perspective that sees humans as part of a whole, not as managers of nature. So indigenous communities, they have practiced ecocentric ethics for millennia. We need this traditional ecological knowledge to be the guardrails of our data. We need this indigenous knowledge. So I think it's high time to opt in for indigenous community involvement in climate planning. I think it would only be beneficial for the whole ecosystem, and it only makes sense in my head at least. So with that, I would move to the next slide here, which is possible outcomes and a mindset shift. So we have now, based on the conversation, based on the data I've been giving so far, so we have two possible outcomes on the horizon right now. The first one is the anthropocentric path. What is that? We use AI to squeeze every last drop of efficiency out of a planet like ours, the planet that is already in a climate crisis like ours. So we try to build better disaster management AI, but the disaster will keep getting bigger and bigger because we never address the root cause. So that's a path we can take. That's the anthropocentric path. The second path here is the ecocentric path. So in this ecocentric path, we recognize that the earth is the ultimate stakeholder here. We use AI as a digital witness and a partner in regeneration. We use it to help us live within the earth limits rather than trying to engineer our way around them. So that would be the ecocentric path. Now, with that view in mind, my talk on choosing an ecocentric path is actually a call for a mindset shift. It's not a rejection to technology. We need this technology. AI is, as I mentioned already, very important and a very powerful tool right now. So what we need here is a mindset shift. Now, as Rotarians, we understand the power of collective actions. You understand that service isn't just a slogan, it's a commitment to the future, right? So AI being the most powerful tool we have ever created, we need to make sure that aren't just coding them for humans. We need to make sure that we are coding for the earth, for the whole ecosystem. So let's make that commitment to the future. And that's the mindset shift I'm talking about here. Choosing an ecocentric path, choosing ecocentric AI. So that was everything I wanted to talk about today. And I'm now happy to take any questions and any reflections into any of these topics.
That was amazing. Oh, thank you, Tumpa, so much. Would you mind stop sharing your screen for a moment? Odie has a little message from our club to you. Odie, do you want to share? We are so grateful.
Yeah. Is my screen is visible to everyone? Thank you so much, Tumpa Mostafa, for excellent presentation. And I think this is one of the very important topic as on today. And I think this is our future also. We have to, Now, in Indian, I was just watching a news. At that time, I heard that now the thing has come that we have to learn how to live with the AI instead of fearing from the AI that AI will take away our jobs and our all things. But we have to start living because the people who don't know how to handle AI, so they people are have to learn it, and that is now that is only the future. So we are very much glad to have you. And today we learned a lot from you. And in future also, we would like to be connected with you. And you are always invited to this meeting. And we are going to, keep on sharing the meeting details with you. So in recognition of your generous contribution as a guest speaker at Earth Talks, a weekly global dialogue hosted by Rotary Earth Network, so we sincerely appreciate your contribution to our environmental talk. Thank you so much. And this is really, we all are agree. Even personally, I agree. Maybe others are having a different opinion. So let us see what is our further Q&A session. Thank you. And our next speaker is Al Sykes. So he is going to give our presentation on 35 years of preserved planet Earth at Rotary Club of. So thank you so much, Laurie, for this opportunity. Now I am stopping my screen.
Oh, thank you, Najodi, for putting all of that together, and what a wonderful summary. Mark, you have a question, please,
Yes,
and then Judith is after you, so please.
Tumpa, is it important that AI be programmed so that it knows that humans are supposed to be here? 'Cause the ecology doesn't care.
Sorry, could you please repeat your question?
Is it important to program AI to understand that humans are supposed to be here, as opposed to an ecology that doesn't have humans in it?
So, thank you for the question. If I just want to double check if I understand the question correctly, you were asking, is it important to program AI to understand that humans are supposed to be here, as opposed to an ecology that doesn't have humans in it? Is that
Yes,
correct?
because everything you said could omit humans.
Oh, so here is the point. So, this is, by any chance, this doesn't mean that humans are not important here. We are human beings, a part of the ecosystem. We are a very important part of the ecosystem. So it's not about stopping innovation or stopping innovation for human benefits. It's more about including everything in the ecosystem to the, AI system, like to the values that we embed in AI. So by advocating for ecocentric AI, I'm essentially saying that we should program our most powerful tools to respect the, climate, to respect the Paris Agreement, let's say, or the other thresholds we are taking to survive in this world as, to survive, to keep our ecosystem going as a hard constraint in the code, not just a soft suggestion. So it's not to omit human being from the ecology. It's rather to accommodate, coexist, cohabit with the whole ecosystem.
That makes sense. My second question is, do you think that all power generation and AI plants operations should have closed-loop water systems?
Let me double check again if I understand the question correctly. You are saying that if I think all power generation and AI plants should have closed loop water system?
Yes, where they use non-potable water over and over and over.
Okay. So again, I'm not an expert in this area. I don't have the exact answer for this. I'm not an expert in water policies, water resources. But what I can say is we can certainly use our AI to the point where, AI not only just provides output based on human benefits, AI also considers other ecological parts, including water, which is a very big part of our ecosystem. And when providing plans or generating ideas or generating AI responses, it considers the ecological output there. It considers the ecological metrics there, including water.
Thank you for that question, Mark. Judith, you have a question?
So one, Mark, there actually is a movement to have AI creating their own energy through wind and solar and say, you use this much, you be responsible for creating it in a safe way. And that there's kind of a groundswell coming up around that. And Also, it's probably a really good idea if we don't separate humans from the ecostructure, because no healthy environment, no humans. We're all part of that same circle. So a couple of things. One, there is a movement, and I'm sure Tumpa knows about it, the rights of nature, and really thinking that that forests are a verb, not a noun, because they're constantly changing, absorbing carbon, feeding the earth with microbial structures. So thinking about those might be a great place for us. And here's the question, Tumpa, is there any way, because right now, at least here in the States, you go to do any kind of search and AI automatically comes up and you sit there going, I don't want to use AI. Stop it. Stop it. Is there any way to cut that off, to stop it?
Well, that's one of the points I made in the presentation, that it's one of the reason is because we're moving so fast. It's not in our control right now to stop using AI, because AI is everywhere now. You search on Google, like in the past it wasn't AI, but now it's AI. Like as Laurie mentioned, you search on Amazon for products to purchase. It's a shopping place. Like you want to purchase something, but again, AI is there. So because it's growing so fast, the whole AI, it's not possible to stop it right there. So that's why I was saying that we need to slow down a little bit, like not like losing our competition globally and all that, like because Canada is global leader in AI and all that. It's rather like focusing more on being a little bit more thoughtful, focusing more on where we are using this energy, where we are using this AI. It's like being more deliberate, being more, ethical over using fast AI. So to be very clear, in where I stand, I don't see a very good way to absolutely stop using AI, because even if I stop, other people are not stopping. Organizations are not stopping. You can find AI everywhere practically now.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And Judith, thank you for your question. Anicia is a new Rotarian. So if you are already a Rotarian, please clap your hands and welcome her to our family. And she lives like a third of the time in Ghana, a third of the time in the US, and a third of the time, I don't know where else. Can you just for our club's sake, do a little short introduction of what you do and then pose your question to Tupa, because we're just.
Sure.
Oh, and she's our new treasurer.
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Anissa Santini. I'm the executive director and co-founder for an organization called the Reroute Collaborative. We're working to reroute waste and improve health in Kumasi, Ghana. We're brand new, so we just started out this in 2025, and we're working on getting our operations started up there. So I'm kind of part-time between California and other places in the US, and then back to Kumasi, Ghana, back and forth. So that's me, and I'm really excited to be here with y'all. I've sat in on a couple of meetings in the past, but excited to officially join and be here with y'all. So thanks, Lori.
So now your question, or was it answered, or?
It was mostly answered, but I guess I can still ask. And then if there's anything else, Tumba, that you have to add, that would be great. I was just curious, with all of the information out there about, if you use AI, you use one chat GPT email uses, 2 bottles of water or something. Like there are all these comparisons out there about personal use of AI and then water and energy consumption. And you mentioned it's really hard to avoid use of AI now because it's all automated. Wherever you search, it's there. And so I was just curious, from your perspective, if there are ways that, like, as individuals, we can maybe not necessarily reduce our AI use, but if there are other ways that we can make an impact in this area or be advocates for this area or spread awareness. Are there things that you think that we can do as individuals for this problem?
That's a great question. Thank you so much. So again, we're living in a world right now where we can't really avoid using AI. Like it's not even in our hand at this point, but as individual, we can choose to rely more on AIs that has like better values in them. For example, AI, I'm not sure if you have seen like some recent news on some AI use that someone search, people could like even search how to do a crime, and all that, and it will actually responds. People can actually search for like, I don't know, a lot of things. I need to just respond because there is not the proper values embedded them, the proper programs embedded in them, like what can be answered, and uh you know what should be the values to generate an answer and all that. So if we continue choosing AI that has more eco-friendly values in them, that is more rational than the other ones, more ethical, then that would be one step that we can take. But other than that, with time, how things are going right now, it looks like if things keep progressing as they are progressing right now, AI will be even more everywhere, like more than how it is now. So we won't be able to like avoid using it. Rather, we have to rather come up with ways to use it more sustainably, use it more in an ecological way, like focusing more on the ecological metrics as well, like that. So that's
Well,
it.
thank you.
There is a search engine already 12 years or 15 years called Ecos, and it was mentioned also earlier in the chat. They also have an AI. They are less bad because search engines also use energy, etc. But from a lot of the money that they make on the AdWords, they plant trees, and they've been doing that for 15 years. And a lot of places where Ecosia has planted trees, they're already looking as pretty nice forests. Over
For
250
Bertel,
million are planted by them. So that is one thing.
Bertel, I
I
love
already see
you.
it.
I'm gonna let Malcolm join in too because he's been waiting, and I know, Judith, you've got your hands up. So I'm gonna let Malcolm go first, and Bertel, we love you. Hold it for just a second.
Hi, Trump. I want to thank you for making me feel very guilty. One of my grandsons is 7 on the 2nd of March, and my wife is nipping my head for ideas for birthday presents. So this morning I went into Chat GTP and asked for ideas for a 7-year-old birthday present, and I have a whole raft of them. So A, I shouldn't have done that. Probably not. But B, AI has its uses. I think the serious point I want to make, though, is the point of an ecocentric, about anthropocentric. And the reality of life is that our politicians are anthropocentric. And as Rotarians, we're supposed not to talk about politics. And until we get round that hurdle, we're not going to get anywhere. Probably it's just an observation. I think I agree with all that you said, but we have to be change makers. And the way we're change makers is how we use our votes and how we encourage others to use our votes. Now, I'm talking in the UK, where we have pretty strong environmental legislation and we don't have a political leadership trying to overturn that. But I think the point about moving to ecocentric is so important, but it's a political journey that we all have to make on our own. Anyway, that's just an observation I wanted to make.
So thank you so much, Malcolm, for your reflection on this. I, again, don't want to jump in the political conversation, but I agree that the changes needs to be made, and not all the changes are on our own hand as individuals. Their changes are often like in the hand of the change makers. But I think that some point now or later, at least some of the global leaders, they are actually seeing the impact of fast AI and slow AI. So, and also like the platform that Bartel is mentioning. So this wasn't here in the beginning, like when ChatGPT, when Google Gemini or Copilot started, like it's more of a more recent AI tool. So see the progress. We are actually progressing. So we just need to have the right direction, and it's not ecocentric AI is not impossible. It's very possible. It's out there. We just need to make sure we are using it. We are using the idea to actually implement it, So yes. Laurie, over to you.
Bertel, you were so kind. Thank you for letting me interrupt you. I'm so rude. And I wanna
No
hear about the
problem.
one you were talking about. I hope you list that in the chat. Please go ahead.
Yeah, but I'm amazed that not everybody knows it already because it's been around the block, Ecosia, and I don't know the how long we will have this conversation about AI. I know one of the leaders, AI leaders, and behind the scenes there's a lot of things happening, and most of the things that are happening is that a lot of funding is being pulled out. So I think we will see less of AI, which is also good because people over 50, 60, they remember the 90s and the 2000s when everybody with a website was a millionaire. And well, that also didn't pan out. So, and before you had the steam train, and there's always a hype about something. I think probably within a couple of years, it's a decent tool. But my question to Tumba is, you are working in a pretty scientific organization. I make that assumption. There's a lot of scientists. Is it mandatory that I have to use that AI? Are they not afraid that at a certain moment they lose the ability to coherently think for themselves and check the AI, what they probably are doing right now, and that in a couple of years that they think like whatever, if the agent is saying it, it must be true. What is your view on that?
Thank you so much, Berto, for the reflection and for your question. I just need to make sure I understand your question correctly. So you were saying that how scientists are using AI, if in a couple of years they would think that whatever AI says is true.
Yeah. And that their capacity to double check it, that they put their head in the ring, so to say, that they think for like, okay, yeah, maybe, I don't know.
So what I would say is already like the data that we input AI and then the data we receive from AI is not accurate. So even for small things, like forget about these scientists, the models they are developing, the research data. Even for small things, like if you ask them some very random, for example, birthday present ideas and all that, you can still see some errors in the text messages there, like uh, some sort of errors you would be able to find, or like some information gap and all that. So AI is not error free, not now, and we don't know the future yet. It's definitely progressing and all that, but personally, I don't think we should reach to a point where AI would do the thing and we won't even need to double check, because I think that loses, like that way we will lose a lot of the values of our brain and all that. So, I'm not sure what will happen in the future, but AI is not accurate at this point, not error free at this point, not to blindly rely on.
No, no. But still, the people addicted to their cell phone
Yeah.
are already going down that rabbit hole. So yeah,
Yeah.
but good to hear that there's still thinking people in Canada.
Well, yes, and I wanna say at least at our PELS conference when we had the AI workshop, one of the things was our teacher showed us how to make, he called it AI hallucinate, like just by trying to put in a Rotary event and put out anyway, we have
Now,
some other.
can I make a small, how do you call it? One of my few sins that I have is when I feel bad, I open ChatGPT and I start to talk mean to ChatGPT. It works. And it talks back. Yeah.
We're gonna take a couple more comments from the chat, and then I will sign off the meeting, but we're gonna stay talking because this is really good. Tuba, do you have another place you need to be to at the top of the hour?
Yes, I actually have another meeting working over, yeah.
Oh, dear. Okay.
But I can stay 5 minutes more for sure.
Okay, well, then we'll do that. I'm going to officially close the meeting then. So thank you so much. This meeting is adjourned. Stop the recording. You sure want to stop? Yes.